Alright guys, here's the Excel spreadsheet I put together for you guys. So first off, I'm going to go over what's in it. Then I'm going to go over the specific formulas that I used putting it together. Because I know some of you might be brand new to Excel, just want to start off by saying all of this will also work in Google Sheets. So if you don't have access to the Microsoft Office suite, you can do it for free in Google Sheets as well, which is fine too. And then I'm going to go over some basic questions on goal setting and why I included some of that information on the sheet. So first off, I think it's definitely important to include your name on here. Definitely take ownership of your goals and take ownership of this process. In my experience, there are only two kinds of people when it comes to debt. They're the kinds of people that get really excited and want to pay it off super fast because they view it as like a backpack full of bricks. They view it as a burden. And then you have the second camp of people that don't really care. They make the minimum payments and they're in debt all the way until their 40s and 50s. So only really two kinds of people that I've seen on that end. So first I'm going to go over what I've plugged in so far, and I'm going to start on the left-hand column here. So what's your goal? It's always important to set a goal. I always say personal finance is 80% behavior, 20% the numbers. You can definitely get away with having not the strongest understanding of the math behind a lot of personal finance stuff or the equations or a lot of the technical aspect, but if you can master the goal setting and being consistent towards achieving those goals, that's most of the battle. So, what is your goal? Here I'm going to enter mine to be debt-free in 10 years. Why is this my goal? That's probably the most important section on this page and in this video is the why. Below there I have a really good quote that I love by Friedrich Nietzsche. He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. It's very powerful. A lot of goals tend to fall apart, and the data bears this out. Goals tend to fall apart because people don't have a why. Because like anything else, getting out of debt is a slow grind. It's a process. It's not super exhilarating. It's not thrilling. It's, I'm going to do this consistent thing month in and month out over a very long period of time, and that's going to benefit me. During those times, when it gets hard, what is going to be my motivation to remind myself, oh, I'm doing this for X reason that's going to help me actually get from here to the finish line. So why is this my goal? And I'm just going to put, I want to be in a better place financially in 10 years to help my family. Okay, nice there. You can see that. Where will I be if I achieve my goal? In a stress-free and content place. So there you have the positive side of things if you can achieve this. So again, in those hard times when you're thinking about not staying consistent or not staying on the monthly payment that you have to do to get out of debt and achieve your goal, these two are very helpful reminders of what future do you want to be working towards, and what is it going to look like if you do get there, and what does it look like if you don't. So here I'm going to put where I will be if I do not achieve my goal, and I'm going to put still stressed, still in debt. Okay, so now that we have this taken care of, we have a lot of the behavioral side of it done. I'm going to get into the more technical side of this Excel spreadsheet. So first off, if you're going to make one of these on your own, you want to start out with just, let's collect the data. So first off, I have the student loan balance there. That's the example I used. I'm actually going to change that now to just loan balance because this sheet can be used for anything. So loan balance, you can plug in your total amount. Interest rate, again, we want to be using annual percentage rate because that is our actual bottom line interest rate number. It includes all the other fees, everything like that from the financial service company. I have this broken down into monthly interest rate, and that's what we're going to need to do our payment calculation here. And I'll show you that in a second. So to get our monthly interest rate, we're going to take this cell here, enter any interest rate you want, and then we're going to reference that cell. That's why H3 is coming up there, cell H3. And then divide it by 12, make sure we're including our brackets here to make sure the formula runs properly. And if I remember correctly, when I put this together, I had to click on the decimal buttons to get it to show 0.42. And it goes out to other decimals, but the number will carry across, so it just looks a little cleaner that way. Going over here, I have desired payoff date and months. So this is the one that we're going to be using when we're done, and when you put this together yourself if you'd like, or if you're using my sheet to play around with. This is going to be the main box that we click on and change, that is going to adjust our monthly payment amount over here. So if my goal here is 10 years, pay off this debt, every month I'm going to need to be paying $1,060.66 towards this debt. And right here again, it's referenced in the equations, referencing cell K3, which is the number of years, times 12 to get the number of months. And over here I have just, as supplemental information, I'm going to click on it twice. You can see it isn't included in any of our formulas. It's just information for us to remind ourselves of and keep on the side. So my current loan term, if I just paid the minimum payments on this $100,000 loan amount, would be 15 years. Okay, so how did I figure out what the monthly payment is? So right here you have the payment function in Excel. And I'm going to go through one by one to show you what it's referencing and how I put this together. So first off, we're going to type in equals. Then we're going to type in PMT for the payment function. Then we're going to throw that left side bracket in there. We're going to reference first our interest rate. And again, to get a monthly payment amount, we're going to be using a monthly interest rate. If we used our annual interest rate, it would throw this off and we'd have to adjust a couple different things to get the annual amount, but it would make this information incorrect. It would give us a wrong answer there. So again, referencing H5, that's our monthly interest rate. Then we have to, you put a little comma there. Then we're going to be referencing the N per, which is number of periods. And again, it's a monthly amount, so we're using a monthly interest rate here. We're going to be using the total months that we want to have our debt paid off in. So K4, we have the months. And then F3, that is this value, that's our loan balance, noted as PV, or present value of our debt. Another comma, throw the bracket on there on the end, hit enter, and we're good to go. So all of this will keep track of these individual cells as they change as well, and just automatically update the formula. So if you had, instead of $100,000 in debt, let's say you had 50, plug in 50, it automatically adjusts this formula for what that amount is going to be. Likewise, put this back to 100. If you had, instead of you're paying 5%, you're paying 10%, that'd be a lot. It shows you how your monthly payment would go up. And again, feel free to play around with all of these different amounts. The main one you're going to want to play around with as far as your goals go is this one right here, which is the number of years. So you can see what your payment amount is if you want to take a little longer, 12 years. If you want to take a little shorter payoff period and go 8 years, a little more there. Okay, and once I completed this, I had to think real world for a little bit, because that's where all this stuff takes place. Most of the time, you're going to have multiple debts. I know myself, my wife, we have multiple student loans. different loan amounts, different interest rates. So I wanted to make sure I show you guys not only how to put together a simple formula to get a ballpark number, but how to go a bit deeper and calculate what your interest rate is going to be if you have multiple loans at multiple loan amounts. So that's the example I'm showing you right here. So you can list as many loans as you have. I only listed 2 here to keep this example simple and easy to follow. And again, I have it here as calculating your interest rate if you have multiple loans, different loan amounts, and interest rates. So loan 1, it's for $10,000. Loan 1's interest rate is 5%. Loan 2 is for $5,000 and its interest rate is 4.5%. And then over here, double click, I have a cell that keeps track of our total loan amounts. And again, if you have 3 loans, if you have 30 loans, hope you don't have 30 loans, you can just keep adding the interest rates. Again, you want to use APR for these, annual percentage rate, that you can find when you log into your student loan provider's website or you get your statement in the mail. You want to include the current balances of all your loans and just keep adding to this. You can probably just scroll to the left and just keep adding columns and then move this one, highlight it and move the whole box over to the right. So to figure out what your interest rate is going to be if you have multiple loans at different amounts, you're first going to need to figure out what your annual interest amount is. So I'm going to double click on this. So for this one I used the sum function. That's just an adding function in Excel. And I added together, see I'm referencing M8 times M9. So I'm taking the $10,000 loan we have, multiplying it by 5%. That'll give me the amount of interest on that loan per year. And then I did the same thing over here. Took cell P8 and P9, multiplied them together to get the amount of interest that I'm paying on this loan. Again, make sure you're careful with your brackets there. Make sure you include all of those so that the formula functions properly and actually gives you a good answer. And then I hit enter. And it spit out that on these 2 loans, in this example, I'm going to be paying $725 in interest. And then, to get the average interest rate, I can show you what I did here, I took the amount I just found, the $725 in interest, and divided it by our figure R9 here, which is the total amount of debt outstanding. Hit enter, it gives you 4.83%. And again, this is very important because more or less you're getting a weighting of how much of that interest is being applied per loan. So if you have one loan that is, say, at 8% and one loan at 2%, that loan at 8% is going to be dragging up your total interest rate that you're paying, your average interest rate that you're paying on all of your debt. And it's that average interest rate number that we need to plug in over here. So if that was the case, I would take that 4.83 that I found here, and I would plug it in up here, just like I'm doing now. And I'll adjust this over so you can see it, to get a new monthly interest rate and for it to automatically adjust in our monthly payment formula. Hope that made sense. I hope I did a good enough job explaining that to you guys. Again, feel free to just double click on all these cells. It'll show you where I'm getting my numbers from. Feel free to watch the video multiple times to get, if you need a reminder on the specific formulas, the specific process that I'm using to get these numbers. And again, I'm just going to do a quick recap. I cannot understate how important it is to fill out this section here on the left. It's so understated in finance, the importance that goals have. A lot of it's just, oh, what's my number, what's my number, what's my interest, all that kind of stuff, how much money am I saving, how much money am I making. But the most important thing is actually doing it, actually getting this stuff done. You can be the most knowledgeable person when it comes to personal fitness, but unless you're getting your butt in the gym, you're not going to make any progress. And the same holds true for personal finance and anything financial. So again, these are mine here to be debt-free in 10 years. I want to be in a better place financially in 10 years to help my family, so I can achieve my financial goals and I can help my family members achieve theirs. If I achieve my goal, where will I be? I'll be in a stress-free and content place, if I can spell place correctly. Because without debt, I have the freedom to make a lot of decisions that I otherwise wouldn't be able to. If you're debt-free, you have the luxury to do things like take a job that pays a little less, because it's a lower stress job, maybe you enjoy it a little more. Where will I be if I don't achieve my goal? And simply put, still stressed about debt and still having that debt being outstanding. Thank you for following along. This one got a little long on us here. Again, if you have any questions on how I put this Excel sheet together, I'm going to include it in the link below. Feel free to leave a message in the comments, and as always, I would definitely appreciate if you guys could like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend, try to get the word out. My main reason for putting this together for you guys was I tried to find websites with formulas and with calculators that did this for me, but a lot of the websites themselves were really sketchy. So I wanted to make sure that you guys had a resource and a free tool like this that you could use to figure out how long it's going to take for you to pay off your debt, what your monthly payment amounts are going to be without going to a website that's pretty scammy looking and has a ton of ads and might not be super trustworthy with your information. As always, if you have any questions, throw them in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time.